family cottage has been demolished. There are very few timbers left. It's complete ruination. But we're flying over Long Beach now, and Long Beach, there are hundreds of houses here. Long Beach is completely flattened out. We can see signs of the houses 100 yards back from the beach, where they were washed over there, and where they've assumed crazy tilting positions now.
That was a clip from a radio broadcast by Carl Gersh on October 17, 1954, assessing the aftermath of Hurricane Hazel along the coast of North Carolina. Hurricane Hazel was a Category 4 storm and is ranked as one of the most catastrophic hurricanes to strike the United States in the 20th century. What began as a tropical depression east of Grenada quickly transformed into an intense hurricane that struck Haiti on October 12, 1954. After hitting the island, the hurricane made its path up the Atlantic Ocean and struck the east coast near the border between North and South Carolina. Coincidentally, Hurricane Hazel struck during the highest lunar tide of the year, the full moon in October. Coupled with the strong intensity of the storm, Hazel delivered a record-breaking storm surge to the southern beaches of North Carolina. A community newspaper in Brunswick County, known as the State Port Pilot, featured the following story of two survivors of Hurricane Hazel. Connie and Jerry Helms had come to Long Beach for their honeymoon and were out roller skating the night before Hazel struck. The Coast Guard warned other residents of the hurricane's approach, but the newlyweds arrived back at the beach too late to hear the warnings. They went to bed with no knowledge of the ominous storm poised off the coast. At dawn the next morning, the Helmses woke to the sound of pounding surf and chairs blowing about their porch. Huge waves began crashing over the dunes as the couple scrambled to leave their cottage. With no time to even pack their clothes, they jumped into their car, but it wouldn't start. They ran to their Jeep, but it wouldn't start either. By this time, the surging ocean water was waist deep in the street, and they knew it was becoming deeper and rougher by the minute. They made their way to a nearby two-story house and broke through the door to get inside. As the tides continued to rise, the second floor buckled, and the couple feared they might perish.
We started seeing houses exploding and floating away. Microwaves, stoves, and refrigerators were flying by us. As we stepped out the door, we saw a man in his own doorway floating away. He was found the next day buried in the sand.
The couple watched as the entire island went underwater and every house within sight was swept away or pounded to splinters by massive waves. Large timbers, roof sections, and appliances of every kind whisked past the cottage where they had taken refuge. Then, as the water swirled just inches below the second-story windows, the Helmses knew that their shelter was about to go into the storm's waves and winds. Tying themselves together with a flannel blanket, the newlyweds escaped the collapsing house through a high window. Connie Helms, who could not swim, climbed onto a cotton mattress while her husband jumped into the raging waters.
We went right out to sea on that mattress. By that time, all the two-story houses were flooded, and most of the other stuff was already gone. We didn't even have time to think about what was happening or be scared. All we were thinking about was holding on to that blanket and staying alive.
The couple endured the storm with Connie on the mattress and Jerry holding on. When the storm subsided and the waters receded, they made their way to Southport and visited the hospital for treatment. After hitting the coast, Hurricane Hazel moved inland and tracked its way through the mid-Atlantic and northern states until it reached Canada. Along its path, the torrential rains caused flash floods and incredible destruction with uprooted trees and downed power lines. Hazel's destruction was spread over 2,000 miles on the northward trek from the Caribbean through North America. Due to the Earth's Coriolis effect, winds within the depression curve around the central low pressure in a counterclockwise direction, creating the eye of the storm. Hurricanes can be divided into 4 quadrants, with the right front quadrant having the greatest potential for destruction. This is due to the combined effects of the storm's forward speed and counterclockwise rotation, thus producing the highest winds and greatest tidal surge in this quadrant. Unfortunately, this same quadrant made landfall at Carolina Beach, North Carolina on October 15, 1954. The worst damage occurred at the ocean front due to the massive storm surge. 14 blocks of the town were inundated. 1 house caught on fire. 362 buildings were destroyed completely, and 288 suffered major damages. Damages to Carolina Beach alone totaled over $17 million, and that's in 1954 dollar amounts. Seeing the present state of Carolina Beach with all its development, it's hard to imagine that it was once inundated with water. The historic Hurricane Hazel definitely left its mark, and survivors like Connie and Jerry Helms are sure to never forget it.